Yeah, I'd call this some sort of an emergency podcast if we had any information, but we don't. And the fact that we even have to ask the question, is Mitch McConnell dead? The fact that it's gone this long and you have to say that question out loud, this is absolute complete insanity. And listen, these aren't normal circumstances. And yes, we can get beyond the whole thing. You feel sorry for a guy, any human being, right? That's in that kind of a condition. Because this obviously is either the conspiracy theories are right and he actually is like physically dead, or the other medical possibility, which is a real possibility. Keep this in mind how insane this is, that he's brain dead. That's all sad. I get it, just from a human element. I understand that. I totally do. This goes way beyond just somebody in a bad state of mind. This is not theory anymore. Mitch McConnell's wife, which we're going to get into here in a second, this is understood. Everybody in Washington in that swamp has understood this, has deep, deep ties to China. They're talking about Elaine Chao, the former transportation secretary. We'll hear from Tim Burchett from Tennessee in just a second about that. The fact that we're even here in this day and age, and they'll go on and on about it, that, well, this isn't an unusual circumstance. Well, that's even worse then. How do you have this guy, which, okay, he's not Senate Majority Leader anymore, unaccounted for, and there's no answers, and we don't know, and then the people that are supposed to be in charge, like the current Senate Majority Leader, isn't saying anything? This is a horrific circumstance. And again, don't feel bad about asking this question, because this goes now beyond just one personal guy's health or, one family situation. Because this affects all of us that this is going on. We'll discuss some of the theories here, because there's a lot of doozies out there. And the reason why these theories pop up and they live is because we don't get answers. Anyway, we'll go through them. And this, I'm telling you, stick around for this comment and what Tim Burchett, maybe one of the only true honest members of Congress, what he says about what's going on here, it's unbelievable. We'll get to it. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio on the live stream and replay on X and YouTube and Facebook. Full audio podcast on this posted shortly thereafter. Now, this is mostly a visual. Audio listeners only, I'm sorry, but this is just a stark reminder. Again, not being cruel, but we got to set the stage to understand how bad of a situation this is. This was not that long ago. Little independent reporter is trying to ask Mitch McConnell a question. He's holding on to the aids and he falls down. I'm not laughing at this. I'm just doing it to set the scene. This is what it was like.
My name is Stella. I want to ask, do you support ICE taking working people off the streets and kidnapping them?
Okay, that's bad enough. Again, it's not funny. Nobody's laughing at that. But again, go beyond what this is for this guy's personal situation or his personal life. This affects everybody. But wait a minute now. Hold on a second. He's not Senate Majority Leader anymore. That's one good thing. We've got one in there now. I'm sure we've got an honest, on the level Senate Majority Leader in John Thune who's going to tell us exactly what's going on, right? Yeah, not so much. This was just the other day where they asked him, completely legitimate question, what is going on with Mitch McConnell? This is a very important vote in the Senate, besides the fact that we're not being told anything, and this is what he had to say. You think we're getting an honest answer out of this guy?
Because he's been out for so long without a lot of clear questions as to when he might be back.
This isn't the first time that this has happened.
Are you sure, John?
Well, it's happened on both sides of the aisle. Look, Senator McConnell has reported about his health.
No, he hasn't.
And I'm hopeful that we're going to have him back here soon. But
You're
until
not.
that time, we'll defer to him and to his staff to give us updates on how he's doing.
What update?
I don't know that there's any. I think in the past there have been numerous opportunities. I can think of two immediately on the Democrat side, and one on our side where you had members that were out for extended periods of time.
How about this? Oh, really? Is it there's John Thune going, whoa, this is like, he's basically telling us nothing out of the ordinary for this. And what about the update? His family the senator has given us updates. No, he hasn't. They posted a still shot of him with his wife where, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be cruel again. He looks brain dead to me. He just does. That's no update. And here's your problem. Here's the real problem with this. Besides whatever's going on with Mitch McConnell's family, that guy right there And we all know John Thune is basically the guy getting in the way of securing our elections with the Save America Act. But that's also a guy that will not give you or me or any of us any answers about the health of a still, this is the craziest part, of a still very powerful U.S. Senator. This is so bad. Okay, so where are we right now? Okay, the guy he's missed all 28 roll call votes since he's been out. The last time Mitch McConnell voted was on June 11th. They vote all the time, right? You figure it's not so bad. But there's still somebody making decisions in that office. So here's the scariest part. We only have 100 senators. You know who's running his seat then? One of the 100 Senate seats. Staffers. Unelected staffers for Mitch McConnell, who, by the way, totally legitimate question we have to ask now, how long have they been doing that? He hasn't exactly been the sharpest tool in the shed for a long time. So these unelected staffers, God knows, interns maybe too? I don't know. They've been running the show for this guy, we have to assume, for a long, long time. That's how bad this is. If this doesn't change everybody's opinion on we need age limits, term limits, we have an age minimum requirement for elected officials. Why don't we have an age maximum cutoff? Because this is just so bad. But and it's completely possible there, and this kind of goes to what John Thune was saying, it's possible that a young, healthy, vibrant person could actually be only 50 years old and have a health crisis. Well, that's just as bad. You can't be there. So the theories, and this is why all these theories are out there, then why is he doing this? Why is this happening? Well, the basic questions are, okay, let's start with the most basic question that anybody as a responsible human being would ask. Maybe because it's a family privacy thing. Yeah, okay, I totally get that. I understand that. I think if any member of my family, or if I was a elected U.S. Senator, I want my family to keep kind of quiet about it. But I will tell you this, I'd also want them to update as best they possibly could my constituents or the rest of the country. I can tell you that. So I don't think that's the only reason why we're not hearing anything is about privacy concerns. I don't think that's it. So there are other, I guess, deeper questions about this. Protecting Senate operations. This seems the most likely to me. This is as you know, the narrowest, thinnest of razor-thin margins in the Senate. And we know, because he's on the record as saying it, this guy is Mitch McConnell that is, and now the staffer is no fan of the Trump agenda. Yeah, that would tend to explain a lot of different things. We can't tell the American public Mitch McConnell's dead, because then we'd have to get a new senator in there, and no, we couldn't do that. But then we've got other elected officials here who also aren't giving us any answers to anything. Well, there's another guy from Kentucky. Who else is from Kentucky? The other senator here. Rand Paul. He's the guy that's always calling for transparency, right? Is he giving us any answers? Once again, in the halls of Congress, they tried to ask him.
Senator, can you tell us what you think about McConnell's absence? Do you think he needs to put out a video instead of just a photo? What's your position?
Okay, I get it. I don't know anything about that reporter asking Rand Paul that question, but he still could have at least answered something. He said, I don't know at this point. I'm hoping to get more information. I really don't know. Nope. Walked away and scurried away into the elevator to go up to the office. That's not good. But while we're on the subject of theories, let's get to the craziest, scariest theory of all. And it comes from who I think, and you know if you've been with me for a long time, I think he's the most honest dude in Congress, and that's saying a lot. Tim Burchett from Tennessee. I think this guy is completely on the level. I think we've seen enough of Tim Burchett to know he's not BSing us. I really, truly believe that. If you haven't heard this yet, this is going to blow your mind, is how easily he says, and kind of intimates here, that there are deep Chinese connections to Mitch McConnell because of his wife, Elaine Chao. And Tim Burchett just says it like everybody knows it. But if you haven't heard this yet, maybe you read this in passing, maybe there's a headline. Very shortly after that picture, which looked like a hostage video, and I still think he was brain dead at the time, of the picture of them in the hospital, she scurried right off to China. What? Here's what he said, and you have to hear this.
Days after McConnell went to the hospital, his wife, Elaine Chao, flew to China to meet with the Chinese vice president. Congressman, great to see you. What do you think is going on here?
I think her ties to China have been suspect for a long time. in the transportation world, and serving on transportation. That always raised an eyebrow for me. But nothing happens in this town by accident. Of course, I'm in Tennessee. Things happen by accident down here, but nothing in Washington ever happens by accident. It's just it's a cover-up on top of a cover-up, and that's why nobody trusts what's going on in Washington, this whole thing.
Well, yeah, exactly right. And I think I've never heard anything from Tim Burchett that leads me to believe he would BS anybody. And here's the chilling part, how easily Tim Burchett was able to say, their ties to China have long been known in this town. As if, like, he's known it forever and he kind of assumes everybody else does too. That's still, for the rest of us, unwashed masses in America, that's still shocking to us. You hear it back and forth, but to have a U.S. congressman come out and say, as she scurries off to Beijing right away, as soon as it looked like Mitch McConnell's health took a turn, she goes right to China? And how easily he says that. If that doesn't concern you, there may be something wrong. I mean, honestly, the fact that we even have to have the question, we don't know. It doesn't matter. It sounds bizarre to say, but it doesn't matter if Mitch McConnell is dead or not. You hear what I'm saying? He's either brain dead, and we have an actual cadaver still sitting in a U.S. Senate seat, or he could actually be dead, and we don't know. And things are being held up in the Senate like, I don't know, the Save America Act, right? But keep in mind that this has been going on. This isn't a new development. It's not like 3 months ago this guy was sharp as a tack. This is a statement from President Trump shortly after the second inauguration. So this is February of 2025. This is what he said about Mitch McConnell. Listen to what he says about it. They've always known that this guy is not there, which should get us to ask this question. Who's been running Mitch McConnell's votes all these years? Who are the unelected people behind the scenes on this? That's the real question. That's what's really got to be fixed.
RFK Jr. as the next health secretary, citing conspiracy theories. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I feel sorry for Mitch. And I was one of the people that he wanted to go to the end and he wanted to stay leader. He's not equipped mentally. He wasn't equipped 10 years ago mentally, in my opinion. He'd let the Republican Party go to hell. If I didn't come along, the Republican Party wouldn't even exist right now. Mitch McConnell.
Trump's view is 10 years before, okay, so let's call that 11 years ago, confirmed that Mitch McConnell hasn't been all there. So that was the whole time he was the Senate Majority Leader. Again, so what does it mean to be Senate Majority Leader? You're actually the guy, when it comes down to the dirty, swampy, disgusting politics of the whole thing, you're the guy that decides in all the other races, Congress and Senate too, throughout the rest of the country, who gets the money. So they decide who actually runs the country, basically, and who's going to get elected. He's the guy that distributes the money. You know, when we all if you've ever contributed to anything, and then the GOP comes out or the Democrats come out and they say, we have all this money for this midterms coming up. Then what happens? Their leaders decide which of their candidates get the money. So that was Mitch McConnell, who many people think was never mentally there, or at least not in the last decade. That was the guy deciding who the elected leaders of the country would be. It doesn't get any scarier than that. But again, I try to spin this in a positive way. This should bring back the national conversation about age limits, term limits. I know it's pie in the sky, I get it, but hopefully transparency in our country. And let's be big boys and girls about this too, because we all like to, the majority of you, and I know who you are in the audience, most of us lean conservative, and we always think the Democrats are mostly awful, and they mostly are. Let's not pretend that the Republicans aren't guilty of this kind of shadiness as well. And the whole story about Mitch McConnell and his health or death is bringing this all out. It's a good reminder for all of us. And again, when these kinds of stories come out, it's kind of chilling and it's kind of scary, but you need some of these every once in a while to realize how bad things are so that we can fix it. First thing, which was we said right there in the beginning, don't ever feel bad about questioning this guy's health, because that affects all of us. This is beyond a family thing now. Second thing is, don't stop asking questions about where this guy or where any of your political leaders are. As you know, and I know we're all trying to live our lives and live happy lives and not worry about this kind of stuff, but you kind of have to in a situation like this. And secondly, thirdly, this is the most important thing of all. This confirmation that we know now of Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, scurrying to China when he's either dead or brain dead, this goes back to the big story from last week. I called it the biggest story of our lives. How much is the CCP of China running our elections and our politicians? That's the most relevant, most important question of all. And it all goes back, and it's all coming to the surface with this Mitch McConnell story. And I'm really sorry, that the guys, that's a personal health thing for them and their family. But this goes beyond that, because this affects all of us. This is nuts. It doesn't matter whether he's dead or not. How crazy is that to say? It doesn't matter whether he's physically dead or just brain dead, or in some sort of medical capacity where he can't even function. It doesn't matter anymore because he hasn't been running the show for that long. I don't know, everybody, but here's the important thing. We all got to keep asking questions. All right, hopefully better news tomorrow. We'll find out. Thanks for hanging out with me with Wicked Radio, live Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on X and YouTube and Facebook, and then clips from the show and replay the complete thing on those same networks and on TikTok too. But you audio listeners, most of you are over there, wherever you like to get the complete show, whatever podcast you like to listen on, it gets posted right after the live stream every single day. And I appreciate you, as always, as that grows more and more. Make it a wicked awesome Tuesday. Hey, live your life, but don't be afraid to ask those questions. I'll talk to you tomorrow.